I'm calling from Los Angeles, and I'm having a little problem under the name ThatUmbrellaGuy. I sent him my phone number at least 20 times in the chat and told him to call me. He ignored me. I'm a man. I filed the report. If you guys could take a look at it and give me a call back, I would love to hear what you guys can do to help us. We really need to kind of stop this guy at least until Monday. I told him to call me. I'm a man.
All right. Hey there. How's it going today? Welcome to a Friday edition, and YouTube's in the house, by the way. Say hello to it. Actually, so this is amazing news. Listen to this. This is absolutely amazing. We have a partner manager with the channel. That's right. So they will probably be tuning in, giving some feedback on how things can be improved. And I was like, as I've been saying, we have the greatest chat ever. We have the greatest mods ever. So I hope they get to watch you in all your splendor and glory. I think it's cool too. Look, right off the bat, 21 memberships. It's like, yeah, baby, that's the way we roll. It's so cool. Let me shout that out, by the way. Thank you, AJ Stone, for the 10 gifted memberships. Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, Liz, what's up, Liz? How are you doing? Thank you for 5 gifted memberships. You, AJ Stone, thank you both on that there. Sandy, thank you also for 5 gifted memberships. So you, Sandy, again, Liz, AJ, appreciate all of you. And Fallen Hero, thank you for the gifted membership too. Oh, you wonderful folks. And look at that, Mashed Potato Goblin coming in too. 25 sub memberships, baby. Oh, I appreciate you folks, seriously. You know what was crazy? You know the reason I was only a paw, thanks for the 4 months, says hashtag free tug, because he's worth it. Oh, because he's worth it. Yeah, we're going to talk about worth it today, by the way. That is so funny. We're going to go over some stuff. It'll be a really good live stream. What was crazy, though, is the thing that kept me late. So I've had the same headphones since now I've replaced almost every piece of equipment I have, over time. My microphone, it went out in the trial. I'm anyone who caught the trial here will remember that. My microphone went dead. I had to replace it. It actually broke during the trial. I had to replace a computer. Well, today, my favorite headphones, one of the speakers went out. So I was trying to find something because I couldn't hear. I was like, oh no, what's wrong with my headphones? So RIP to the chat, baby. RIP. Poor headphones. It's been an interesting day. So today what we were going to do is we're going to talk about the lovely, lovely failed attempt. This is a fascinating one too, considering what it means with Hollywood, a certain ex-Aquaman starlet and more. We're going to go over that Piers Morgan, that stream that they have up. We're going to look at theirs. That actually, it has Nick Wallis in there. I am not. So Nick Wallis, interestingly enough, you remember Nick Wallis, hey, he did great coverage for the UK trial. And then when he fundraised, once he got to the US, he decided, hey man, I need to get in on some of that mainstream money. So he started, he about faced. He started talking, all kinds of ridiculousness. And it's been interesting to see him out there because he's pushing a book. And one of the items in his book, apparently, he was talking about how he only puts in certain items. Well, he put into his book, he said that a court attendee told him she saw a juror with a phone with Amber H on the screen, possibly a YouTube video discussing the case. And I was like, that's not actually relevant information. That doesn't mean anything. That's just that's just innuendo, gossip, and yet apparently it's part of his book. So yeah, his hard-hitting factual book includes items like that, which have been indeed used to weaponize against the jury. And the jury, remember, their names come out very soon. So that's a real problem. There's a lot of people taking aim at them. Again, I want you to think about this way. You have jurors on one of the biggest trials that we have seen. And the jurors, none of them came out and monetized it. Any other jury that we've ever seen with a giant trial, they come out and they make bank. And more power to them, by the way. Doing interviews and everything, more power to them. I mean, they spend weeks, they make a decision, and I think it's fine. If you go in, you do your due diligence, that's good. You can go out and talk to the world. They didn't, though. You had one potential jury member. I don't know if I trust the outlets that said that they actually talked to a jury member. We'll probably have confirmation of that once that comes up. But we already have people that are, they're making some pretty nasty comments there. And that's actually kind of scary. I'll probably do a video on that because it needs to be covered. George, thank you. Welcome. Thank you for the membership. Welcome to Tugs Thugs, by the way. Thank you for that. I appreciate you. Oh, man, it's good to see you folks, though. Today has been a crazy day. I, by the way, had a great, we were talking a few minutes before we get into our subjects. I have a doctor follow-up today, and it went really good. I do have to say, one thing that sucks about doctors, I'm just complaining. There's nothing else meant in this, just complaining. But it amazes me to have, if you're not from the United States, this is how our insurance works. You pay for insurance, you pay off your deductible, and still, out of pocket because of certain medications, a $1,500 day. $1,500 freaking dollars. It's like, wow, man. They eat you up. But got great news. Everything's going smoothly. Yours truly is much healthier. You notice we've been live streaming every day. It feels like things are finally situating correctly. Good times, huh? Good time stuff. All right, let's talk about. So I did a video today talking about the Helen Mirren stuff. And this has actually been quite funny to watch play out, considering if you search this, you'll find a lot, and I do mean a lot of people that they're trying hard to get L'Oreal sponsorship back to AH. They want her front and center. In fact, if you really want to see, the organized PR has started up hardcore. I mean, hardcore. And you can see it, you can track it through Barlow's account. You can see them, they're pushing the L'Oreal Paris idea. They keep pushing it over and over again. I mean, that's really creepy, by the way. It's really creepy in the middle of it. But you notice that's all they're doing. They're spamming over and over again. See? This is organized. This is a push for PR. Well, as part of that, they try to drum up some let's just say a little controversy. They tried to throw it at Helen Mirren, and it backfired spectacularly. In fact, if they actually had a chance at getting L'Oreal, yeah, this probably ended it. You can actually see you had things like this. You also had mainstream coverage of it too. They were promoting this narrative at first, saying that Helen Mirren was giving JD the subtle middle finger, which is not true, by the way. This is actually, and what's hilarious, like I pointed out in my video. Hey, by the way, Denise Clark Custom Art, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships too. I make sure I appreciate you. Like I said, that's awesome. I love showing, like I said, I know we have somebody that is checking out the channel today. Again, they're not in a negative way. It's actually a very positive way. So it's like, yeah, check that out, baby. Like exactly, this is what it works like. So I like that. I like that they see, value for places is, they get a cut of memberships and stuff, so they can see the value there too. So I'm glad that they're actually they're giving feedback. And again, I mean, what that says there, that says, baby, we're growing, all of us together, we're making something. I think that's awesome. So anyway, if you look at this, you'll notice 2 things about this. Number 1, you'll notice a community note. Now, community notes are hilarious because community notes essentially tell you that when people looked at this stuff, they looked at the idea that that wasn't correct. And you know what they did? They corrected it. It's beautiful. They corrected it for the world to see. This also ends up trending too. On top of that, Miriam herself comments on this and actually tells people, no, this stuff isn't real. So I want to actually read. I like this. I love the little celebration they tried to have, the drama they tried to stir up. And again, they presented this as if it was factual, and the media went right along with it. They went right along because it's organized PR. You can tell. I mean, this is how organized PR works. So this is one of the supporter, whatever you call this thing. I don't know if you want to call it a blog, or I'm not sure, but it just gives you, I love watching this deflate. So I want to read this to you. Hey, Cindy, by the way, thank you for the $5. Go, Johnny, go, Johnny, go. Johnny B winning. Don't know how many people will get this. Johnny B good. Actually, did you see his music today? Did y'all see that? Give me 1 second. I forgot to bring that up. I didn't see it at first, so he actually dropped a little tunage to the TikToks. So give me a second. I'll show this to you real fast. Give me 1 minute. I've got to bring it up. But yeah, he put it on the TikToks. I thought this was amazing. It's just cool. Like I said, you see the revitalization of everything he does. And again, you can check out, like when we're playing this, but for sure, you can search it. It's all over the place. But this was actually dropped today too. Let me drop this in here real quick. Give me 1 second. I'm full screening this. It's taking me a minute because I want it full screen. All right, so check this out. I don't know if you all have seen this or not, but you got 23 seconds. This is kind of interesting. It's good to see him using social media, by the way, because it's a very effective platform. I actually think if he had somebody in his life, like a manager or something, I know he has a lot of people that help him out, friends, whatever, however their business relations do. If he would post 1 time a week, it would be unreal. It would be absolutely unreal. I wish somebody would encourage it because there's all kinds of stuff he could post, anything. He could take a picture at cans, put it out there. And he could also, he think in a hit piece the media put together, they were like, oh, do you have anything to say about the kind of fans you attract? And he was like, no, I don't have anything bad to say at all. In fact, I love those people. And he said that many times. Don't need Hollywood. Don't need all of this other stuff. Just need the fans. And that's a great message. So, this stuff is powerful. And I wish somebody around him would note that too. I think he understands it, but he gets busy. But they could at least manage it. You know, they could put up a little video snip, anything. He doesn't have to do it himself. Just somebody running one time a week, man. I mean, it would be, again, you know, you strike while that iron is hot and you keep it going. And man, it's hot right now. So I'm going to play this. LA, by the way, thanks for the 10. What a nice way to end a busy day. Thanks, Tug. Well, hey, thank you for being here. So check this out, 23 seconds. Thank you again. Thank you for that. I always like this song.
Good.
That was good.
See, I mean, you know, posting just things like that. I mean, again, you strike while the iron is hot, and it's good to see him. It's good to see, like, if you look at the picture there, like, he looks healthy. You know, like, look at him here. Let's see. Let me pull this back up. Like, when you look at him, actually, you know, the media, like right now, Page 6, they keep going on and on. They put out another hit piece talking about, oh, AH looks great in Madrid, and people are complaining about JD's teeth. And it's like, what? What the hell, man? That's how the media is right now. And meanwhile, you know, they keep talking all this negative. I mean, we're talking about a man who's almost 60 here. I hope to God when I'm 60, oh man, if I could be so lucky, you know what I mean? If I could be that lucky. Give me a second. Cigar. But look, I mean, he's in good health. He seems to be in good spirits. He seemed to be in good spirits this whole time. He's done better, I think, in conveying messages through cans, like when he's talked to the press, when he's actually, you know, spoken and wanted to articulate, you know, the mashed potatoes, for example. He's scored a lot of victories that way, because your victories, you're not speaking to what people need to realize. And I think JD has started really realizing over the last few years is you're not talking to the mainstream media. You're not talking to Hollywood. You're talking to the regular folks out there. And those messages are indeed to them in some way, about them in some way, but it's really not the audience that you're trying to cater to, you know. Because meanwhile, like I said, with Helen Mirren stuff, so you have, look at this. Now, this is funny. I want to read this to you because there's a point, you know, again, this gets obliterated. You have Helen Mirren call this out. So all of this, I think, was a coordinated campaign, and it still is, to basically force L'Oreal into revitalizing sponsorship, which is not going to happen right now. L'Oreal, you know, we heard during the trial that L'Oreal was not happy about the negative attention that was coming up. They didn't like it at all, and I'm sure they're not going to like this. See, this was an epic screw up. Because again, this doesn't look just like random noise online. It looks like PR push. And the PR push, again, it's pushed out by shill media, and it backfires tremendously. You don't go after the place. Like if I wanted to, it's the same mess ups that AH has had over time. If you want to continue with, say, a Warner Brothers, maybe you don't, I don't know, shame them in a courtroom. If you want to ever work with Disney, maybe you don't threaten to sue them. You know, stuff like that. Just basic messages, you know. And this is the same thing. Maybe you shouldn't try to shame L'Oreal. Maybe you should try it a different way. But hey, what do I know, right? Lori, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships, by the way. Thank you for that. Love it. Thank you. Love watching those fall in. Thank you, folks, sincerely with that stuff, man. I love watching that. So let's read. Okay, first of all, what was the spin here? And for some reason, I think some of the folks are colorblind or something. What color is this? You tell me. What color is this? I want to see the chat. What color do you think that is? I'm not getting into some weird thing about, you know, oh, it's a shade of. I'm talking about like prime color. You know, what color is this? You know? Yeah, blue, right? Blue. Okay, what killed me is they were pushing this idea that it was purple. Let's see, Have they changed that? Let me find it here. See, they were saying this was purple because it's purple for Amber. And I'm like, that's not purple. That's not purple. But anyway, I mean, again, it just shows you the grass, Oh, I gotta grab that, right? I gotta put that together. I was like, is my monitor messing up or something? Because that ain't purple, man. I'm not seeing purple. I'm just not seeing it. I mean, I think it's a stretch to be like, yeah, that's purple for. But listen, okay, so here's the thing. And this is written by, obviously, Shields. So I love the way this goes. They're like, when we first saw the shots of Helen Mirren at Cannes Film Festival premiere, Johnny Depp's supposed triumph returned from screen, we noted her purple hair and her little fan with some amusement and nothing more. Oh, Dame Helen, she's doing it again. You see this. They're talking about the worth it hashtag, by the way, in the colors there. So, but then we wondered about that hashtag. Is it some sort of L'Oreal because I'm worth it SpawnCon? Because that doesn't sound like our queen, and it feels a little tacky to do something like that on the red carpet of a major international film festival. So they actually insulted Helen Mirren right here because they're like, is she shilling that? That would be tacky. So, of course, that can't be it. She wouldn't do that. So, I mean, that's an insult, and they don't even realize it. Her stylist, Lee Harris, mentioned on Instagram that she was there representing L'Oreal, and she's long been a brand ambassador. But even so, it seems strange of her to use a moment like this for such a naked bit of brand promotion. Huh. You should have heard the gay gasps that erupted from us when we took a second to Google the hashtag and we realized the entire outfit from the purple hair to the hashtag could be seen as a form of support for JD's ex-wife AH based on 2 social media campaigns launched by her supporters, Purple for Amber and Amber is hashtag worth it. Now, here's the thing. I was curious. So I actually looked up, I'm going to do a little search right now. Okay. I'm going to look up, since she's working, they've noted L'Oreal Paris, worth it. It's just a simple search, right? When you look that up, what you find is L'Oreal pushing the tagline worth it. It has nothing to do with age. You won't find any hits on that whatsoever. So yeah, that's not true. I mean, if you look up again, L'Oreal Paris and worth it, of course, that's their slogan. What's really interesting about the slogan, let's see, is this slogan, by the way, they're trying to co-opt. They're trying to say, hey, that's about AH. It's not. It's not at all. In fact, the slogan, here you go. They were like, well, AH popularized that slogan. No, not at all. The slogan, it turned 50 in 2021. It's been around since 71. Yeah, that's right. It took me a minute there. So you can see like how it's been set up. It was created. So there was they talk about its creation here. They talk about all the names that have been attached to it. It's funny too, Jane Fonda. No, Jane Fonda didn't popularize that. It was somebody else. Oh, such a mess. So apparently this was created by a 23-year-old junior copywriter working for L'Oreal Paris, New York agency in 1971 when she put forward the phrase, having become disheartened when having to write commercials solely delivering through the male gaze. Converting her frustration into action, as she told The New Yorker in 1999, she wrote a whole commercial in just 5 minutes. My feeling was that I'm not writing another ad about looking good for men. So I sat down and did it. It was very personal. I can recite the whole thing because I was so angry about it. So again, they're taking this and they're stealing it essentially. They're stealing it from this lady who did that. What's up, Susan B? Thanks for the 5 for the Big Mac Fund. Love them taters. Love them taters. Hey, Claire, thanks for the 7 months. JD has more class and intelligence in his little finger than any of the mainstream media. That's actually true. They've come. I guess it's positive for me because I can do videos all the time and call it out. I think it needs to be too, because it can't become the sole narrative. It can't. And they were pushing the idea, like I said, that somehow in some way that the the because you're worth it. They were pushing this mess that these people were saying, like AH had coined a phrase, like somehow she was the one who popularized it. When again, it's been around for a long time, and it has had a lot of people that they've not just created something there, but it was something deeply personal at the time. We could we can argue about the insanity that has happened in the last few years, where basically, I mean, a lot of people have taken in they have taken a equality movement and they've turned it into a self-empowerment movement. Not empowerment of women, self-empowerment movement that's based on a lot of hate. But back when, yeah, I mean, obviously you got problems. There's still problems, there are still problems. And unfortunately, instead of being able to sit down and talk about real problems that come up, unfortunately, we have them we have people that divide. Not just when this false accuser stuff comes up, I mean, it causes all types of side problems too. And that's one of them. Again, can we fix the problems that are around for people? And the answer, unfortunately, sometimes is no. We can't really, because we can't even have a real conversation because people do damage to it. And we sit down and it's so divisive. It's sad, really, because women have issues that they need to work on. Men have issues they need to work on. I'm talking societally, maybe personally, whatever. And you need to have a larger conversation. But of course, it's all about one person. That's narcissism, by the way. That is. I say that as a mental health provider. That is narcissism. When people make, when you make entire social moves, that would be a description. I'm not saying a person is a narcissist. I'm saying that if I were describing narcissism, this would be a good example. So you can't remote diagnose, but you can say, man, if somebody did that, what would that be? Oh, that's narcissism for sure. But anyway, so they said, that's based on, and again, the reason I showed you what came up with was hashtag worth it, because like nobody would ever have heard about these things. Like this is some kind of weird headcanon that these folks have going on, because nobody's ever heard of that. So they were like, well, we choose to see it that way. Now I don't know if this is an after change, because when you look at what they posted on Twitter, they don't say, oh, yeah, well, maybe this could be this way or maybe it could be that way. No, they lay it out. This is what's happening there. And they said, remember, a true queen of shade knows how to drop an insult and make you wonder if she's really insulting you or not. So, yeah, when she drops that logic, I guess we know she's dropping it on. Then they tried to do a little lap on it, being like, and that is why Queen Helen is the sovereign nation of, yeah, bow down. And then they were like, edited. Oh, well, nevertheless. Oh, she stated that wasn't that, but we like our story better. We like it better. And what she did was tacky. So, of course, they insulted her. And what happened in that? Again, what I love about this, first of all, again, this ends up trending. This is how I actually saw this, because I would not have seen it at all, which I love anyway. But community notes are actually quite fascinating, because community notes, what you end up with here is you end up with people pointing out for the world that this is not true. And unfortunately, there's a lot of idiots out there that will believe anything. That is an unfortunate reality, where people, somebody posts something, they're like, yeah, that's the truth. And yeah, it's not. It's just the creation of something false. And again, more than that, it looks like organized PR. What actually happened with this, and I think it's funny, is Helen Mirren did indeed do something. And what Helen Mirren did was she put out a statement that, yeah, it owned these. By the way, you want to see how stupid the mainstream media is about these subjects? Here, let me read this to you, okay? Because I really want you to listen to this. This is from The Wrap, all right? The Wrap. Listen to this here, okay? Helen Mirren arrived at Cannes. I want you to drink this in and tell me what's wrong here. Helen Mirren arrived at Cannes Film Festival, red carpet for the controversial JD film with a dramatic look, hair dyed, enchanted blue, with folding bamboo style fan in hand. But it was what the fan contained that made people really take notice. It said hashtag worth it, a hashtag perceived by some to be in support for Amber Heard, who was married to Depp and who sued the actor for abuse in a case she lost in June. Wait, what? You read that with me, right? Like, they don't even know what the case was about. Like you caught that, right? A hashtag perceived by some to be in support of Amber Heard, who is married to Depp and who sued the actor for abuse in a case she lost. Wait, what? When did that happen? Like, was there a case I missed? Because that never happened. Yeah, that's journalism for you. That's what journalism looks like these days. But they did get one thing right. They got Helen Mirren's statement that she put out. Now, listen, this is what Helen Mirren actually had to say about the subject. And I love it, too. I think that's great. Hey, Tammy, by the way, thank you for the 5 there. I remember Sybil Shepherd being hashtag worth it commercials for hair color, I think. I remember that slogan for years. I mean, don't you folks? Don't you remember it? Hey, yeah, thank for the 2 there, too. You can get purple potatoes. Hashtag AHSM salad, anyone? Purple potatoes. Oh, that would be weird. That would be weird. Lori, thanks for the 6 months, too. It's hashtag 39 mashed potatoes trending. What's great. Yeah, actually, 39 mashed potatoes actually ended up trending. That was funny. And, when people broke it, it actually trended twice. So you had 39 mashed like trending, and I think 39 potatoes ended up trending for a hot minute too. So it was kind of funny. It did trend. But here's what Helen Mirren actually had to say. No secret message was intended. You caught that right off the bat, right? No secret message was intended. Point blank, made very clear, there is no secret message. There is no hidden spice. There's nothing there to read. That's all. That's just transcribed. I am a L'Oreal ambassador. She makes this clear. I work for L'Oreal, and they are one of the many sponsors there. In fact, what's fascinating is if you really want to see the reality versus the fantasy that media is pulling. See, media, all of this huge storm that all this chaos they've tried to breed around Cannes. You know what that's done? It's actually hyped up JD and helped out his career. It helps him out even more because they keep giving him the press. He actually won the case, and it makes people mad, and people support the man. So they're actually helping him out. They don't get it, but one of the things that they really don't get, they tried to boycott the sponsors for L'Oreal Paris. Right? I mean, not for L'Oreal, but for Cannes Film Festival. With L'Oreal, they actually tried to contact sponsors. There's a list of them, and the sponsors, they didn't respond to that. There was, from what I understand, a concerted push to pressure sponsors because JD wasn't just in Cannes. He was in the pole position, He was right there in the front. They decided to give him notice to make what was going on very, very noticeable. And yeah, they didn't like that. But as an advertiser, that's actually what you want. You want a guy that's going to draw eyes. And at the end of the day, he went into court. So, but continuing, I'm a L'Oreal ambassador. They are a sponsor of the festival. And quite truthfully, I picked up a fan because I was hot. I was hot there. That's why I picked up a fan. So when they're like, oh, look at that. It's a message. She pre-planned it. Yeah, she picked up a freaking fan that was sitting around because the place that's there, that she's there with, because she's a L'Oreal ambassador. Yeah, they supply products, like many products. You have name recognition. So she's not out there hawking a product, which is funny because these people who tried to weaponize her, They actually, again, insulted, denigrated her for Hawk and Ware. She wasn't. I mean, she's I don't know how old Helen Mirren is. Let me see. Let me look this up real fast. I'm curious. How old is Helen Mirren? Helen Mirren. Helen Mirren, let's see. Age 77. All right. For myself, I already, like, if I'm out, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's hot outside, right? At 77, I'd feel like I was roasting. So yeah, I'd probably need a fan. I hate going outside, you know. I hate it sometimes. I like it to be cool, but can you imagine, like, not just at cans, but all the people surrounding you, all of the lights, everything else? It's got to be uncomfortable there. It's got to be. So of course, yeah, you picked up a fan, and she's like, because you're worth it is the official L'Oreal Paris slogan. I think that is the biggest own there because, again, they're trying to shop around the idea that she was out there denigrating JD, that she was trying to cause problems. And she's like, no, that's the official slogan of L'Oreal Paris. That doesn't belong to these other people. Like that is Hollywood. Again, canceling your membership. Like I said in my video, that's exactly what that is. Hollywood star steps up and point blank challenged this stupid narrative. Because you can see Helen Mirren, there are pictures of her looking over with JD while things are going on, and she seems quite content for him to be there. She doesn't seem to have any kind of bitterness. And they're just trying, frankly, to cause problems for Helen Mirren. Like, they wanted to cause problems for JD, but they would use her, and that would cause her problems. Like, that's nasty. That's gross. That's gross behavior. And, quite frankly, it just shows, it shows what hashtag support women, yeah, support them until they become a useful pawn. That's what these people are doing, and that's not really support at all. Again, you could damage them. It could have stirred up some kind of nastiness. People could have, this could be career damaging kind of stuff, because what they were trying to say wasn't, hey, she supported AH. They were trying to say, oh, she was out there making sure that when JD is there, she was sending a secret message. And that would be basically, spitting on him and spitting on his premiere, which didn't happen. But you see what they try to do that. They weaponize anything, and the collateral doesn't the damage doesn't matter. And people notice this kind of stuff. See, they notice what the media did with this. The media went full scale, full bore into that narrative. They didn't fact check it before. They pushed it. They pushed all of these just random weirdos on Twitter. They were like, yeah, these folks right here, yeah, they're saying this and that. And they pushed it like they had some kind of brainstorm. I mean, Lord, there are people online that believe in like flat earth and lizard men too. Maybe we don't source them. Just saying, unless you're writing I mean, I remember when people were making videos about like lizard popes and stuff. I mean, I wouldn't exactly call them, media were entertaining, yes, but media sourcing, no. Give me 1 second. What's interesting is they made JD's point about the mashed potatoes. You have 39 angry mashed potatoes sitting around. They're obsessing over everything that JD does, and they're wrong. The biggest part of that is they're wrong. Like, that's what I love about it. Helen Mirren didn't have some problem with JD. They were totally off base. Now, I also want to go over something with you. Now, there was a Piers Morgan. I talked about this. I started to watch it yesterday, but I didn't really want to watch it. I figured it would be somewhat annoying. I did end up watching it to see what I was going to get into a little bit, but then I didn't watch it all. I do have to say, however, like Nick Wallis, man, I'm telling you, like I said, so Nick Wallis, if you don't know about Nick Wallis was one of the sources that covered one of the few people that covered the UK trial from the inside. And it was pretty non-biased. He was just giving you the giving you what was going on inside, and you're getting transcripts with it too. So you could check it and be like, yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. He wasn't giving, yo, I think this person's horrible or that person's horrible. He uses that to fundraise. He ends up raising money so that he can go to Virginia. And he's not hitting up the AH simps. He's hitting up all the JD supporters. That's who paid for him to go there. Then when he gets there, what does he do? Oh, he starts talking about in interviews, JD this, JD that. And again, it's not, he's talked about how, I'm just presenting facts. Okay, well, in his book, I have not bought his book or read his book, just a note, but in clips that are being shopped around so they can attack jury members, he said things like, well, I heard from somebody that was there that a jury member had hold of a phone. And I mean, again, just salacious gossip. And that doesn't make you some kind of anything, but it does make you a media darling, I guess. So anyway, you have him, Piers Morgan, and I can't remember this lady's name. This is such a train wreck. It is absolute train wreck. And it's amazing how, if you look at this, let me show you this. Okay. If you look at this,
Welcome back to Piers Morgan.
Let me start it. If you look at this versus, let me pull up the comments real fast just to show you. So comment wise too, give me 1 minute here. Comment wise, just a note. Yeah, this goes over like a lead balloon, by the way. They can't read the they can't read the tea leaves, as it were. It's like, I mean, look at these here. If you watched the trial and still think AH was telling the truth, you must be blind. She was recording, telling him that she hit him. The poor guy went through DV, and more importantly, is a huge movie star. So yeah, he deserves all the cheers. The only thing worse than lynching a person until he is proven guilty is lynching him after he's been proven innocent. And again, I mean, this is the consensus. This is the consensus. This is how all the commentary go. They talk about, extreme bias. I mean, people talk about, they make notes about the UK judge, again, and the UK judge who immediately retired right after his decision. He has a son that is affiliated with a paper that is on trial. He's a co-worker of the person that is also on trial as well. And he was a partner with a law firm that is representing. I mean, again, it's just, there were so many weird things there. I mean, it just, it makes you go, And the comments, again, like it's an army of comments telling you. See, this is the difference between, the Twitter sphere. Twitter absolutely hates men. I'm gonna say that's what it's built on, and it unfortunately goes to even people who could use or need support. Unlike, say, a YouTube, in my opinion, you have you at least have more of a balance there. They don't allow you to just overtly people like in this day and age just to call truth ism or phobia or misogyny or whatever. But at the end of the day, there are guidelines on these platforms. They are heavily scrutinized what you do. And truth, when you say, hey, looking at all of this evidence, I think that this person is guilty. I think they did all of this thing. That's not the ism. That's just reality. If reality is sexist or misogynistic, then maybe you should look in the mirror. Maybe you're fighting against again, it's not trying to change some social ill. It's fighting against reality because reality is inconvenient. But anyway, listen to this here. We're going to go through. I'm sure I'll have some commentary. Let's do it.
Since in the last couple of hours, Johnny Depp has hit the red carpet at the Cannes Film Festival as his new film Jean de Barry opens the event. This is him on the red carpet. You can hear at the end of this a cheer for Johnny.
Now, they downplayed the cheer for Johnny. Johnny Depp had an ocean of applause. Again, 7-minute standing ovation, baby. 7 minutes. And now there's so many of the AHPR, Team AH. They've been trying to push it. Oh, well, that's normal. That's typical. Yeah, it wasn't typical. It just kept going on and on and on. By the way, let me say again, thank you, AJ Stone, for the gifted memberships. Again, you appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for 10 more gifted memberships. And also, Liz, thank you for 5 more gifted memberships. Thank you both. I appreciate it. I love gifted memberships. That's one of the things I love. I love the fact that we have this cohesion here. And I like it. Let me make sure. Let me see subtitles, by the way. So anyway, they just cut away like, oh, he got a little bit of cheering, right? They downplay that. You notice that.
And he got cheered when he went inside the auditorium. But there's been an outcry from Amber Heard supporters and some French actresses with the hashtag
What?
Can You Not
Wait.
Film Festival.
What French actresses were they talking about? Now, what I found interesting, the Sun pulled in, I can't remember her name. I can't remember her name, but when did this come up? Let me see. So this was 3 days ago. So 3 days ago, what French actress was talking about that? Do you all know any French actresses? Like I can't remember any that came out and have actually made any statement about that. Like 3 days ago. Can you remember any? Because I'm drawing a blank on that. John Wong, what's up? What's up? Thank you also for those 5 gifted memberships. Thank you. Thank you all, seriously. When I look at this, I'm curious. I'm very curious what French, I'm looking through the comments because Piers. Anyway, continuing.
Celebrating abuses for 76 years. Now, Johnny Depp was vindicated at his recent trial in America with Amber Heard.
They're quoting people like Eve Barlow in their PR. Oh, they celebrate for 76 years. So they basically went to these no-name effing accounts out here that are running PR, and they're like, that's blowback. And it's like, no, man, that's impotent noise on Twitter. You know what's funny is they derided 4.5 million people. 4.5 million people signing off on something saying, hey, Aquaman, you need a change up because of this person here. They said, that's not real. That doesn't matter. We don't listen to Twitterverse. But when one of these little noisy crickets starts chirping, and they're like, oh, Piers, right. That tells you, again, something's wrong in Kansas, Toto. Something is very, very wrong. Continuing.
Ordered to pay him $10 million and basically exposed as a liar. So does Johnny Depp have the right to relaunch his career, or is Hollywood being hypocritical by celebrating someone who'd even been accused of such behavior and, of course, lost a libel case?
Did you see that, by the way? Did you hear that? Did you hear how he just kind of brushes over essentially a liar? The entire case, everything in that was lies. Like, how many lies does somebody have to tell before when you're like, well, I can't prove that X, Y, and Z aren't there because there's no evidence pro or con. So you're going to accept that. Like if there's 100 things told to you, 90 of them come back as lies. The other 10 you can't prove. Like how far into that before you start saying, maybe I shouldn't take the word of this person at all. They're not little lies either. Again, people lie. I mean, people, you have social lies like, oh, you look good in that or whatever, you need niceties. People embellish small things. That's not the kind of lie we're talking about. We're talking about lies to destroy a life. There's a big difference here too. At that point, and Piers is going to go off on this tangent. I've seen a clip of the end here where he goes off on this tangent about how you can't just listen to things. You can't, but yet that's exactly what we got. So anyway, continuing.
Nick Wallis, author of Depp Be Heard, The Unreal Story, and the family law barrister Paula Roan Adrian. Okay, Nick, it's an interesting thing. Johnny Depp welcomed like a movie star.
Could you imagine, by the way, getting one of these barristers? Could you imagine having, say you suffered some kind of horrible abuse, like you get that, or a Proudman? Could you imagine? I would just, oh God. Anyway.
as he has been since he won this case in America.
Been mobbed.
But he doesn't have a completely clean slate because he lost the libel action in the UK. A judge ruled that the Sun, basically, by calling him a wife beater, that they were entitled to do that. So it's messy.
You know, they talk about it being messy, by the way. You know, essentially, you have one dude who, again, has some weird, spotchy stuff. I'm not going to go over what all I said before, but I mean, there's so much more in that. There's been a lot of discussion on that. But you didn't have the world get to see what AH was claiming. She got to just sit there. She got to turn on the waterwork, and they were like, yeah, we're going to embrace it all. They even embraced things that they embraced tales that we know, like the ones, okay, you know, that late night appearance where people are like, hey, you know, all of those claims about the nose being broken and other items, they aren't there. You can't see them. It's the day after, though they embrace that. So they embraced everything. You know, the only thing that they really didn't take on, there was a claim of, there was a text message from Depp apologizing. And she said, well, I can't remember what happened here, but him apologizing proves that he did something horrible to me, that there was some horrible physical thing that happened that day. And the judge was like, well, with this limited proof, I can't at this time substantiate that. But he's telling you, hey, if you would have made a little more accusation to it, I would agree with that one too. And I mean, anything that came up, I mean, you'd see it for Australia, for example, when the dogs got brought up. How did the judge respond to the dog thing? They were like, oh, well, the lawyers are actually JDs. You know, it's just stuff like that. It just continued. It was always pushing the goalposts. There's also, you know, the guy who's in the elevator, Joshy Poo. You remember the guy who he has a weird timeline to stuff. You know, people started bringing up the time, the Andy files. I don't know if you remember those, where the time in the elevator versus the time outside, basically they didn't match up. So really, if you look at his story, it's just an absolute mess. And there's so much more of a mess there. Well, he in the UK was applauded. He was a great witness, according to the judge. And the judge, right after applauding him, lambasted the police. Why? Because the police, they said, yeah, we were in the building, I can't remember the time frame they said, but it wasn't that entire time frame. You know, who knows? We also had the judge uphold the idea of charitable donations, despite the fact that we found out the charitable donations was an out-and-out lie. Lied to the court about it. Absolutely. Lied brazenly to the court about it. But that didn't matter, did it? That played really heavily in the U.S., by the way. So anyway, continuing.
And there's no doubt that this relationship with Amber Heard was extremely mutually toxic and abusive. It just comes down to how you categorize who was more to blame and what the abuse was like, which I think your book does in a lot of...
Who is more to blame? Mutually abusive. See, that is such a disgusting way to categorize abuse, because you live in these situations when you're abused. We know the classic tale of that. Oh, things will change. Things will get better. JD told a tale of a person he lived with that he thought had all the same passions that he did. Loved music, loved this, loved that, all of this stuff. It's all supposed to be great. Meanwhile, none of it's real. They find somebody that allegedly is having relations with other people. I would say, allegedly, like we saw some of we saw the Franco video. I mean, we saw that. We heard about in the UK trial, which they don't bring up. We heard about Muskie and having his own key. We didn't hear that in the US trial, but in the UK trial, we heard a lot about that stuff. So, and there were other people too. I mean, you have this undermining. You also have, you could see it in Australia. You could see the words written on the mirror that were written by her, the gaslighting. You could hear it in videos. You got to hear it. And again, when you're around that, being trapped, one of his friends, what was it, Stanhope? He said that JD knew if he ever left how things would go. So he stayed despite losing part of a finger. That is classic abuse. And you would never, if we were talking about a case, if Amber Heard would have won this case, they would have said here, and they would never talk about mutual abuse. They would never say a thing like that. But with JD winning, they have to still give her something in it. They have to. It's just, it's unreal. It is absolutely unreal.
Or detail. I think the point about Johnny Depp tonight is, should he be continued to be feted as a blemish-free movie star in the way we're seeing at the Cannes Film Festival?
Well, I'm sure he would say he had the right to do that, having got the verdict that he did in Virginia, and this huge wave of public support that followed it all the way up to.
But what about the other verdict in London?
Well, this is always going to be the fly in the ointment. Mr. Justice Nichol, a learned, respected judge.
A learned, respected. It's like, I hope you covered all of the blowback for him. Oh, I'm sure you didn't. I'm sure you didn't, Nikki. You know, by the way, he was hitting up old Waldman as well, you know, trying to get Mr. Adam Waldman to give him commentary. Basically, it looked like some kind of implied or else, because I'm going to talk about you anyway. You want to give me some kind of comment. And what did Waldman do? He posted it on Twitter. He was like, what the what? I'll pull that up in a minute after this.
Transcripts, the evidence, and all the contemporaneous documentary evidence, which he did place a huge amount of weight on. And after 3 months, he came down very firmly in favor of the Sun.
Yeah.
Amber Heard was the star witness in that trial. He essentially believed what she had to say.
Yeah, he listened and believed. Awesome, wasn't it? Awesome. You know, hey, we didn't ask questions about these strange photographs. Didn't ask questions about anything. Didn't take any kind of again, the lies. They didn't matter. No lie mattered. No lie was big enough to actually. I mean, it is an unreal decision. And I always love how some of these, they're like, well, you could tell none of you read that. Oh, yeah, we certainly did. We certainly did read it. We read it live, too, you know, which means I've probably read it, oh, God, 3 times, unfortunately, 3, 4 times maybe. Oh, Nick Wallis, man. Again, this guy, he goes from begging for money from JD supporters to he's out there like, you know, getting in slap, and that's fine, you know. I hope he enjoys it. I hope he enjoys that moment, because, man, you know, for me, I'll talk about it here, but the reality is, like, when you go forward, the next project, he burned that goodwill. And it's not for having an opinion. It's nasty. He went and he was like, oh man, here's my moment, baby. Here's my moment. And yeah, it got him. He got his mainstream media moment. Maybe he sold a few books off of it. But again, how far will that carry you in 5 years? See, that's the real question here. What is your integrity worth? What is your integrity worth? What is your voice worth? And for me, it's worth a lot. It should be. It should be worth a lot. You know. Anyway.
And ruled that on 12 separate occasions, Johnny Depp did physically abuse.
So where does that leave? Where does that leave him in the court of public opinion? You got to say Johnny Depp appears to pretty well be unanimously the winner.
Well, he is the winner, but as you know, it's all about the money, isn't it? And this has now come out of the courts and is now in the hands of the Hollywood studios.
It's all about the money. It's the Hollywood studios that have decided at the end of the day who's the winner. No, baby. You know who decided it? The people did, because it played for us all. We saw it play out. And who decided it? Amber Heard decided it with her lies that got exposed there. JD telling the truth about what happened. And the people, like I said, they decided, because at the end of the day, they stapled their wallet shut for any place that wants to go out and wants to treat you like absolute garbage, run smear pieces on you and more. No, man. So, saying Hollywood has some kind of control of it, oh no, they have no control whatsoever. They have no control. In fact, like, what has Hollywood done right now? Tell me, in this comeback, what has Hollywood done? Exactly, nothing. There's nothing there. I mean, they're not being asked to do anything either. JD has said, he said it yesterday. Or I'm sorry, a couple of days ago. My bad. It wasn't yesterday. But he said a couple of days ago, he doesn't need Hollywood. Hollywood's a relic, man. Hollywood is a relic. There are, when I say Hollywood, I'm talking about an institution. I'm talking about specific companies and the mindset that govern it. It's a relic. You have some great people that are there. You have some small up and coming companies. You have companies, maybe they'll change their mindsets. But I mean, these monolithic dinosaurs. They had I always imagine this stuff as, you have these dinosaurs roaming the earth, right? And then this meteorite called social media came crashing in. And when social media came crashing in, what you had is instant access to things. Once we had instant access and instant communication, we can communicate with one another. You cut through PR, you can actually see what's going on. Again, reading through trial transcripts, looking at stuff, people decided, and it took years there. And Hollywood has fought tooth and nail because the money is still invested in another person. L'Oreal, when he's looking at this, he's calling Dior Hollywood. Dior is not Hollywood. Dior is a separate entity. They're the ones that stamped off on him the entire time, and they made bank, and people saw that. So yes, advertisers, it does boil down to money. But money comes from support. See, that's the thing. Like, it's not just, where's that money come from? Is it just manufactured out of thin air? Of course not. I mean, we're not talking about the government here. You don't have a license to print money, right? It comes from you and I. It comes from consumers. Huh. What's up, Justin Wong? Thanks for 10. Hey, Tug. Thanks for giving me a wrench. I promise I won't abuse it. I wasn't complaining about how I couldn't shout out the book in a super chat, just pointing out how strange the legit censorship from YouTube. Yeah, what it is links for random people. I think they're trying to cut back because I think they're actually trying to make positive changes because you have all those bot spams, they'll come in and they'll spam things. So I think they've tried to change that up. But yeah, now you can put up, so check out the book as well. Remind me and I'll showcase it. I'll actually pull it up after we go over this clip if you want to. And also, thank you for the 10 there. I got to get to work now. I'll post the link for the Clownfish TV book in the chat. Tug, I've already put you down for a copy. Please support the campaign. Only 2 days left. Thank you, Tug. I'm going to pin your book. It's actually, I love Clownfish TV, by the way. Okay, so I do. I'm going to pin their book to the top. Please remind me to pull that up because I do love Clownfish TV. They're very supportive. They've been in my corner anytime something's come up. Again, I wish all of you, when you do something, the best. So, well, I will look at that in just a minute. But anyway, continuing.
Studios. Johnny Depp has been on this incredibly well-managed rehabilitation arc since last year. He went on tour with Jeff Beck.
Well managed. So he's trying to call this a PR thing. Here's the thing that I understand from the people that surround JD. In talking to people that know him or have been around, he's not very manageable. He does what he likes to do. What he wanted to do is he wanted to get away from the noise of the trial. He wanted to express and emote. And the way that he emoted was through art and through music. That is the way that he expressed himself. He expressed, I'm sure that the weight of this trial was crushing. And even afterwards, you're talking about watching your entire life fall apart. I'm very sure that causes you mental health conditions. I'm sure that it causes many an issue. So he went out, he did all of that. That wasn't managed. He didn't have people that were forcing him into that or saying, oh, this would be the right road. He blazed a path that he wanted. Many disagreed with that being the way, but he did it anyway because he's going to do what he wants. And he did it, and it was successful. Whatever he touched was successful because ultimately, again, it boils down to people backing him. People felt bad. See, I believe firmly, first of all, people felt that he had been wrong, but some people felt bad about what they had done because they helped put his career there. They admitted it. They admitted, man, this is messed up. You saw the world's reaction. And when somebody is perceived that way, people will back them. They will back them financially. That's how Dior ends up making billions. Creesha, thanks for the 10 there. Hey, thank you, Tug, for all the work you do, keeping us in the know. You rock. Thank you, chat, for free membership. Amazing community. I know I love all you folks. I love it, and thank you, too. So anyway, I don't like that word "well managed." That just irritated me. Sorry about
a $20 million contract, the highest ever for a man with a fragrance.
He's co-producing a movie with Al Pacino. This is a really important step on his road to rehabilitation, opening the Cannes Film Festival. He's got European movie makers behind him, standing ovation in the theatre. What he needs now is to get to Hollywood. He needs Disney.
He doesn't need fucking, excuse my word, he doesn't need Disney. He doesn't need Disney. The last thing he needs is Disney. If he wants the money for like a Pirates, another step in there, so be it. But he does not need them. They need him. Let's not get it twisted there. Disney is right now, they are having problems with streaming. They are having problems with parks. They're having problems. They're in an open-ended fight in Florida. Like they're hemorrhaging money. Again, you can disagree with things that happen like in Florida or whatever, but as a business, it is not the idea of need. That is a one-way street because the damage was already done. When Pirates pulled away, maybe at that time, JD could have used that money. He could have used that support. But you know what? He saw how it was. And like he made it very clear that he wouldn't go back to them. Now, if he does, so be it. I'll support that move if he wants to do it. So be it. But yeah, I mean, I would feel very bitter and I'd feel very betrayed. Just to be frank about it, I would feel betrayed by the companies. I made billions of dollars. I wouldn't go back. Like that would be my thing. And that's what JD was saying. Like I said, maybe there will be a deal so lucrative that he changes his mind. And if he does, so be it. That's his business. But he doesn't need it. He just made 20. See, they pretend again, what does he need? Like, what do they foresee here? Do they think that he needs to become a movie star like he was doing Pirates? I mean, he just made $20 million off a fragrance deal. He made, $4 million off of one art thing. He made millions off another. God knows how much money he made off of music. He can go any route that he wants right now. They're talking about the rehabilitation of Johnny Depp, the mainstream actor. And, maybe, again, the monolithic dinosaur that is Hollywood has changed. There are ways to he's making more money now than he was making then because you're locked in. When you're locked in with a Disney, you're locked in for a year. You're locked into doing, that movie. You're pretty much locked away. You might do some ads and stuff, but you're doing a lot of promotion for them and you're making a movie. He makes $20 million making he's promoting a fragrance for 3 years. And on top of that, how much more money? He's already made back the Disney money. He's hotter right now in name recognition. If you look, you do searches, he is more recognizable than he has ever been. And in that recognition, he's recognized for a positive thing. Again, people don't see him as some manifestation of a corporate entity. You know, Disney going out and parading him as a pirate so they can make rides. People are seeing him. They're supporting the human being. They're not supporting Jack Sparrow. They're supporting Johnny Depp. That's a big difference there. And that's what's twisted in that. Johnny Depp is out here being Johnny Depp. He's not being Johnny Depp, the Hollywood star, or Johnny Depp, whatever. You know, and I think they don't grasp that. They don't grasp that at all. Oh, it kills me. I have to describe that to him. Big Mac Loop Watcher 5. Thanks, Rod. Sorry, did you see the super chat from Super Panda BS? She said, please get hashtag was it worth it AH trending. I didn't see that. I'll go back through, and if I miss anybody, I apologize, by the way. I miss them sometimes when they come up, and I will catch them, but I didn't see it. That is funny, though. Was it worth it? There's some funny, actually, there's some really good trending ones all the time, like every single day, every single day. And it's funny.
Say, okay, you can have a lead part or a bit part in the next Pirates movie.
Paula,
you can have a bit part. Did you hear him? That's the stupidest comment too. I'm sorry, I paused him so many times, but he's like, well, maybe Disney will give him a bit part in the next Pirates. What? Have a little table scrap, baby? No. Who is the pirate? There is no pirate without it. That's like saying, again, we just had another Indiana Jones, and all the controversy and all the craziness that comes up with that, talking about maybe handing over the reins. Indiana Jones is one specific character. Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford. There is no pirates without Jack Sparrow, and especially after what we've seen with Disney. Without him being in it, people will boycott it. And I mean, it's just a fact. We saw that play out, and they ended up canceling it. So it's ridiculous. Oh, a bit part. Are you kidding me, man?
Hollywood or a firm like Disney do that with Johnny Depp? Does he deserve to be brought back? I mean, the hypocrisy of the Cannes Film Festival, it's an incredibly glamorous event. I've covered it many times myself, but they feted people like Roman Polanski, who's a fugitive child rapist, who escaped justice for what he did. So they've got a long history of.
So they're comparing him in the same breath. You just had Piers Morgan in the same breath bring up Roman Polanski with Johnny Depp. Again, Johnny Depp wins. He proves that he's falsely accused, and he has his name still brought up with the likes of Roman Polanski. That's what justice looks like in the media. That's how it's unreal. It's absolutely unreal. What's up, Denise Clark, by the way? He has Jack in the Box. That's all he cares about, being there for sick kids. Indeed. He still has Jack Sparrow. If he wants it, if he wants to do good with it, he can. I'm glad for that too. I really am.
Tolerating this kind of thing. They do say, some of the festival organizers, they prefer to celebrate the art rather than the person, which is an easy get out, but some people do.
I actually don't agree with that. I don't agree with that stance. And again, when I say that, I want to be very clear. I don't care about I don't endorse this lifestyle, by the way, but you know how Hollywood is always, or music too, the superstar has always been sex, drugs, and rock and roll, right? And with that, I don't necessarily care if somebody's going out and living a specific type of lifestyle, but separating the art from the artist, there are things that an artist can do that I think, no, I'm not going to support that. And there are people, artists, when they go out and they denigrate their audiences and stuff. I've made a lot of noise about that. I do not believe in supporting their projects. There are people in like other industries, like comics, for example. I will not support. I've stopped buying new comic books from most of the major companies. I'll buy like old trade paperbacks now, like stuff flashing way back. But I wouldn't do that because the artist, they denigrate. They treat you like absolute garbage, and I think there are many situations where that's a cop out. So I don't actually believe in that, but that has nothing to do with JD. That's just a cop out on their side. Heather, thanks you for the 550, by the way. The only people I've seen who are willingly blinding, deafening themselves are mainstream media scammer fans, and toddlers. Yeah, I mean, you have to ask the why. Why do they do that? And when they get down to it, the why really answers the question. When you start getting into the why, when you look at that, it's kind of a fascinating question.
Where do we stand with Johnny Depp?
Celebrating the art and not the person. I would accept that if it was Amber Heard who was on the red carpet.
I would accept that if it was for Amber Heard. Now, this person here is going to say things like, they essentially make the point that it sounds like they want a society where we're accepting of female aggressors. They very much make that point. There's one part in here we'll get to, and I was like, what?
Would accept that.
Why would you?
I would accept that we were celebrating the art and not the person. If it was Amber Heard who hadn't lost her L'Oreal contract, I would accept that we were celebrating the art and not the person. If Amber Heard wasn't hounded by 4.5 million people to sign.
You're hounding, by the way. When you signed that petition and you said, hey, this person here, they ruined someone's life. And they're like, oh, well, you're hounding. Those 4.5 million people, they express their point of view. It's considered, you're allowed to boycott a company. You're allowed to boycott a product. You're allowed to make your voice known. That is not hounding somebody. Reporting on the fact of something and people reacting to it like that. Again, as I've said many times, I will not make contact with any of these folks. I do not want you making contact with any of these folks. That's negative. But you can make your voice known. If you see something that you feel, you're allowed to call out an injustice, a grievance in the world, like that would be like saying, oh man, poverty. Well, you thought maybe if you saw some rich guy spitting on a homeless dude and everybody goes out and they trend video on it and stuff. Oh, they're hounding. No way. You never say that. We see many social ills. And we rectify those. We rectify them by utilizing our voices. And now there's this framework that you as a customer, you somehow you have to do something. And that's just, it's an absurdity. Nancy, thanks for the 2 there. Murdoch owns this channel with the Sun paper. Yeah, it is interesting when you get down to ownership of a lot of stuff. Again, I'll go back to what I've been saying for the last few days with Variety, Rolling Stone, and more. There are more fingers on one of your hands than for the majority of when you talk about ownership for legacy media and most of the items that out there. Like Penske again owning a dozen of these outlets. Again, you have Murdoch, look at all the stuff he owns. And again, that's just fact. You have a lot, if you think these narratives all sound the same that come from some of these places, that's because many of them are owned by the same people. So of course they sound the same. That's why I've liked YouTube. For any complaint that you would ever have about a YouTube or a place like this, one of the things that has been valid in it, there are many criticisms on what people voice on here and the reaction that happens. I think they make many a mistake, but at the same time, I think that without a social media presence, without a Twitter is flawed and then some, but without the social media presence with YouTube, with Twitter, you would have never had the reality of this case exposed by people, again, just reviewing documentation, putting it out there in the forefront, reading it, just like we're doing right now, going through something, going through, and you also could read through in your own time. When we watch the trial on this channel, unlike other channels and again, there's nothing wrong with this, but they were giving commentary while things were going. I only gave commentary in when something was broke, there was a break. I didn't give commentary while people were speaking because you get to make up your own mind. I wanted you to hear it yourself because I thought that was powerful, and many other people did too. Kate, thanks for those 4 months. Poor JD still being victimized. It's just wrong. It'll never stop. It'll never stop. That's the crazy thing.
Sign a contract so that she didn't get to partake in the Aquaman 2 role. But we're not celebrating the art. We clearly are celebrating the person. And this is what concerns me, particularly when we know that 2 women a week die because of abuse from their partners. We are celebrating
an American.
What is that? Okay, you throw out the statistic on women, and that's a terrible statistic. That is, it's terrible. Those are human lives. That is, but that has nothing to do with JD in this case. In fact, that would actually reverse. It's a whataboutism that doesn't fit in there. If we're talking about this case, then it would be the male statistic on that. But again, that's a very biased outlook. It's trying to present this notion. And the notion has been, again, they kept saying this trial was damaging with females coming in. No, I think people should be able to defend themselves. Very much. They should be able to defend themselves in a court of law, mind you. That's what we're talking about. Judicially. And they did. They did. What's up, Nancy? Thanks for 2. Elaine and Waldman, verified Tug. I know they all love me. He loves me. I wish Elaine would do an interview. That would be awesome. I'd do an interview with her. I'd have her on. We'd even be nice. We'd be very nice. I'd be very nice. I'd put on my my questioning hat, though. It wouldn't be like the mainstream media, but I would be very nice and cordial, because I always am, because that umbrella guy loves you.
Court trial determined at the end of it that they didn't believe her, that she was a liar. It is clouded by what happened in London, no question. But the most recent test of the veracity of both of their claims about what went on that marriage was an unequivocal win for Johnny Depp. And he has taken that, as you would understand.
It was a 2-1, wasn't it? It was a 2-1.
Yeah, but he won.
So,
it wasn't a 2-1, by the way. The decision on that was, they were saying, well, when Adam Waldman went out, part of his statement they didn't like. They didn't like what was there. In that decision, they didn't like where he was calling it and again, you've got to remember, with part of that, you weren't allowed to present the entire, this just sticks with me. Because as part of the decision there, the jury did not get to see everything related to the article. Like, you could see the Washington Post article, but you could not see what Adam Waldman. You got to see snippets. So you had pieces of that article. You didn't actually have the portions where you have AH's lawyers responding as well. So again, they didn't like one statement in that. But for JD to win this case, here's the thing that they gloss over. For him to win the case, it says that he did none of these things. That's why they presented, they tried to make it sound like it was a smear campaign against AH. But in reality, what you had to do is lay the foundation on why he wasn't an aggressor. He was an aggrieved party. That's why they spent so much time on that. Because again, if the claims had any factual basis, if they felt that there was any kind of wrongdoing, and we're not just talking physical, we're talking verbal, mental, then she would have still won. So for them to present that is factually inaccurate. Like I said, when you look at what the claims were, you look at what was pointed out in them. In order to smear JD, it has to be untrue. And he proved that. That's what the jury felt. And I firmly believe if you would have had cameras in the UK, you would have had, the world would have looked at the UK differently too. And it would have been much bigger. It would have been much, much bigger. But it happened behind closed doors. You had many of the same things coming up, only worse. Like the stuff that was aimed at other people out there. JD pushed a certain somebody down the stairs, they claim, and she came in and said, no, that didn't happen. Yeah, there were other claims made about her too. Many other. It was just wide open, and it was like a free-for-all. That it was kind of like a prep for this trial to see exactly what people would do and how to counter it. And also, I mean, it's amazing to me. In this day and age, there are flaws in the judicial system, very much so. So we saw the trial, and to have people pretty much unanimously agree that that win was correct. There would have been, if people felt that there was any type of injustice in that, they would have reacted to the point that his career, if you thought it was bad before, it would have been nothing. It would have been over with. That's a fact. But that's not how people took any of that. Nancy, thanks for the 2 there. How many men commit suicide because of DV? Yeah, I mean, there are, you can, and it's all horrible. Like, these are horrible things, and that should be part of an overall conversation, and if there's falsity, if people are accused, again, false accusations, listen and believe culture is one of the most racist institutions that has ever existed. I'll say that over and over again. The reason I say that is because look at the damage that it did to Black and Native American young men throughout history, because on the words of people, some of the most horrible things have happened without evidence, because nothing really happened. And we're seeing that, I'm not saying it was limited to Black or Native Americans, but we saw that over time. Like, there were egregious examples. They could just, on the word of, bam. And we supposedly steered away from that as a society. We've supposedly learned from that. And yet, here we are arguing the same broken narratives yet again. Hey, thank you, AJ Stone. Again, 5 more gifted memberships. Thank you, AJ Stone. Appreciate that. That is awesome of you. Thank you. For real. Super Panda, thanks for the 5 there. Break out your finest finish of fabric softener for Elaine tug. I'm sure she'll love the laundry room in your basement. My laundry, baby. That's funny.
Finances, he came out better, of course, than Amber did. What Amber wanted was that unequivocal win, the same win that she was able to obtain,
But she didn't get it
on behalf of the Sun, and she didn't get it.
So why
That's
shouldn't he
right.
be allowed
On
to
behalf of the Sun. The Sun got to win. The Sun got to win, not AH. AH has never had a win. Like, that's the kicker here, isn't it?
continue with his career?
As I haven't said he shouldn't be allowed to continue with his career. What I'm concerned about is the fact that they're not being treated equally. And what we have is a society who seems to
wait.
accept...
I want you to listen to this statement, okay? I'm going to rewind this just a couple of seconds, because I want you to hear what she says here. Drink this in. Really, just drink this in, okay?
And what we have is a society who seems to accept that it's okay for a man to be an abuser, but it's not okay for a woman. They have both sent out...
Wait, what? We have a society that's saying it's okay for X to be one, but not for Y. So you're advocating for X and Y? Is that the message? I'm very confused with the message tonight. Could somebody please explain to me what that's supposed to mean? Because really, that's it. It sounds like advocating for something that no one wants. No one, by the way, is saying it's okay for men to do something horrible. If they were, then there would be support for someone like a Harvey Weinstein, and there's not. He is pretty much you. I mean, you're going to have some fringe element out there. There's never going to be. There are going to be edgelords and other folks, but in reality, I mean, we've seen a certain island, a certain guy that I don't even want to bring up, but you know who I'm talking about. Nobody supports those people. Nobody. It's ridiculous. Now, you will have cases that are hot button topics, cases that are decided. People will disagree on cases. Disagreement is fine. The problem becomes, my problem with my problem isn't really even AH supporters. I think they're blinded and worse. It's what, going again. They go after sponsors. They lie. They'll redact parts of court documents so they can present a false narrative. They're going after, what the media and other folks are going after JD with now. I mentioned this before. They're going after his teeth. That's their argument. So in a day and age where shaming is a hot button topic where, you know, you don't talk about people's physical appearance. You don't do this or that. It has become okay to be like, yo, that dude right there, we're going to attack him because of teeth. That's their go-to. I mean, again, it is unreal. Every single message that is shouted out by the same folks it's hypocritical. It's absolutely hypocritical. And now we have somebody on this panel saying, ah, yeah, well, we have a society that's saying it's okay for X, but it's not okay for Y. Again, it seems like they're advocating, wanting to back AH, which it sounds like they're saying AH is indeed an abuser. That's what it sounded like to me. You know, that just sounded like agreement.
They sent out a joint statement to suggest that the relationship was volatile. They accepted that.
This was when the marriage was settled. But then
Yes,
Amber
that's
Heard
right.
went
That's okay. The settlement too. Remember, we actually know what happened with that, and that is not real either, because the settlement issue was, we heard the taped conversations behind the scenes where AH had gotten together with JD and said, "Oh man, this is ruining me. What are we going to do? What can I do?" So he agreed to put out a joint statement saying, you know, both of us, we say that mutually nothing happened that would end it. And as Wallis is about to say, you could hear him. Yeah, and then she decided to break that. So I mean, he had agreed for everything. Again, he walks away with 9.5 digits. You know, he walks away with actual physical proof, going to hospitals for these issues. And yet, I mean, again, he was willing to just walk away. And, you know, all these, if they like to say he was a declining star, okay, well, they should have just let him decline then. But no, they used him as a soapbox to prop up something else, to prop up a narrative. I don't, by the way, believe that. I actually believe, maybe you saw, you know, people don't have a lot of tolerance for these giant mainstream commercial entities. Like when you have to go out like a superhero movie and make $600 million or $800 million, you're going to have a limited time in that sun, because sooner or later you will burn out. But that doesn't make you a non-viable star. You make money still. It's so unreal. Anyway, Carissa, thanks for the 5. Happy belated birthday, Tuck. Thank you. Mash heads. Mash heads. I like that. Are trying hard to get AH back in the good light and mash heads. I like that. Just mashed potatoes, mash heads. I'm worried about the jury when the names come out. JD keeps rising. Indeed. You are right. All of that is true. Cindy, thanks for the 5. Thank you. Thank you to everyone gifting memberships. Yes, I looked into them. They're not cheap. Yeah. You're talking $5 a pop. And that's, like I said, that's amazing, because it just allows people to have fun and be part of something. Thank you. Like I said, and it supports the channel. So, you know, when you're doing that, it's two things. You're supporting the chat. You're supporting other people. You're like, hey, you're part of this. That's awesome. And it supports the channel. So again, I appreciate it on all aspects of that.
went out of her way to become a spokesperson for gender-based violence,
Right.
based on her relationship with Johnny Depp. And that is the point at which Johnny Depp said, well, hang on a minute.
And why was she wrong to do that?
Well-
Why was she wrong to identify that she believed that she was a victim of...
She believed. You notice that. They keep going to their truth. You know, truth is not your truth. Like, truth is the objective truth. If you believe that something happened and it didn't happen, then you're mentally unwell. Let's just be real about that. If you believe that, you know, you've had somebody act against you and that didn't happen, that is not healthy. That is not a byproduct of healthy mind. And I don't for one second think that someone that does that, again, they truly believe. I think it's a in this day and age, that is a powerful platform. It should be, by the way. People should be able to go out, to call out this and try to remedy social issues. But with that power, you're going to have corrupting influence as well. Power always corrupts. You know, you're going to have corrupted influences.
domestic abuse,
Because
as found in the British courts. Why was she wrong to
But
have
why
done
are
that?
you keen?
Because she didn't look like a perfect. She didn't look like a perfect victim, Piers.
Well,
she was supposed to sit quietly.
With respect,
she was supposed to accept the abuse, but she didn't.
Hang on. Stop painting her as some kind of angel. Amber Heard was not an angel. Amber Heard, from everything I saw,
on the contrary. So she's telling us again that essentially she's saying that somebody that is an aggressor should also be able to go out and be all of these things. So you're quite literally putting an aggressor in place as a spokesperson for people that are aggrieved parties. Again, they are the people that you're speaking out against. That's just, these things are not mutually compatible. They are not. They are not at all.
Of abuse, both physical, verbal. We saw it. We heard it. We heard the evidence. We saw the pictures and so on. She's not an angel in this, right? The question is, I think, when you get a situation that's messy like this, what happens to the main people involved, right? And you might be right. There has been a double standard. Johnny Depp tonight, we've got the pictures now inside the auditorium at the Cannes Film Festival of this standing ovation he got. Listen to some of this.
My Wen, one of the first strong pictures hand in hand.
Double standard, huh?
Now that's a pretty unequivocal, emphatic vote of support from the movie industry.
But this is about money. I mean, it's a huge snub to Amber Heard. Yeah. Amber Heard, don't forget, is the only person in this couple at the moment who's got a big Hollywood movie coming out.
From everything you've read about...
Oh, my Lord. See, here's Nick Wallis, again, being very disingenuous. You know, oh, she's got a Hollywood movie. 2021. That's when the movie was filmed. Not only that, but Aquaman is not slated as a continuing franchise. Warner Brothers is not continuing it. They are looking in other directions. They've announced the way that they're going forward. So this is it is a byproduct of old management at Warner. They have fired every one of those people. You have Zaslav is now in charge, and yes, it is monetary. They don't talk about that stuff anymore. They don't. Now the Ezra Miller situation at Moore is an absolutely nasty mess. Having AH in a picture is an absolute nasty mess. But this is again, having a yeah, before the trial, you have somebody that makes a product. Afterwards, where's the big Hollywood stuff? So again, that is a very disingenuous argument.
Man, right, so Nick, you've researched them better than most people in this fascinating book. From everything you've gleaned here, where does the truth lie, do you think?
Well, one thing that I have learned from studying this case and reporting on both of them on the ground is that no one has a monopoly on truth. Not a high court judge, not Johnny Depp, not Amber Heard.
Or on being a victim.
Not seven. Well, this is where you get right into the culture war, because there is an argument on, I would say, the feminist side that there can only be one abuser.
The feminist side. There is an argument. So he's framing this as, all you ladies that are out there, by the way, you're not feminists, apparently. Apparently you are females. When you, this is what I don't understand here. This is what I do not understand. This is why I never bring up that word, because this has been a word that has been co-opted, been corrupted by people. I mean, really, this is a dude going out and framing these people blow back. Again, hating men is not feminism. It may be some people's version of it now, but the idea is supposed to be about equality. It's supposed to make you and I equal. You and I, in all of our faults, we are all human beings. We're supposed to have social equality. We're supposed to have judicial equality. Again, all the way across the board, It's a simple and yet complex message. It has nothing to do with hating people. It has nothing to do with just universally backing and believing people that may be liars. Again, if people believe that, I challenge them to, again, if people truly believed that, they would be able to get 5,000 women together. They would be able to put all of those ladies in say private chat room, and they could put out, I don't know, their bank information, right? And nobody would do that, by the way, and should not do that. I'm not saying you should do that, but if they believe that, everybody there, they would universally, they'd be truthful, they'd be honest, and of course, nobody would do that because you would have to be mad to do that, but that would be the concept that is being shopped around. All are honest, and it's not everyone. It is supposed to be about, again, individuals, equality, not self-empowerment, but equality. And it gets lost in the motion these days. So, people need to go back, and they need to actually look at what these things are supposed to be. I swear. John, thanks for the 5. Still about quality. They just figured out it was easier to tear down men than raise up women. And that's actually, they tear down women too. That's the unfortunate. You're right, but they tear down the ladies that truly believe in equality. Again, you and I can just, what a part of equality is, we can have conversations. Like, that's what this kind of stuff is. We're having conversations. Videos are the same way. We have conversations. You don't like a take, you don't have to agree with it. But we all have a voice. We are equal. We are equal in every way. And we're equal, again, under the laws. That's what it should be about. It's not a complex idea, but people have just polluted it. Ugh. Lily, thank you for that gifted membership too. You've sent out there. Thank you. Thank you for that. Like I said, I love watching memberships drop in. Thank you.
In a relationship. The concept of mutual abuse, which came up in the Virginia trial, is something that I don't know whether colleagues of yours would say does not exist, because it allows abusers to say, you're abusing me, you're the problem in this relationship, and it can turn things on its head. So we have a real issue where people say, of course you can have mutual abuse in a relationship. Amber Heard admitted to physically hitting Johnny Depp on a number of occasions. But does that make her an abuser, or does that make her someone responding?
Do you know what? My
violence?
takeaway for her at the end of it was they had a highly toxic, alcohol and drug-fueled relationship, which spilled over into verbal and physical violence, right? And this went on.
Does a physical abuser, do they walk away and lock themselves in bathrooms trying to get away? Is that how it works? When you have mutually combative people, is that how it works? Because I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think that's how it is. Do they leave? Do they walk away? Again, they bring up things like slamming cabinets, getting angry at inanimate objects. You pin up frustration and anger, like people will explode. They do. I mean, if you're trapped, like, we respond like trapped animals. But we in Earth, we are animals. So we respond as we were trapped in these relationships. We want things to be this ideal version. Again, it's all of us. I don't want to hammer the basics of what an abusive relationship is, because all of us understand what those are. But this goes to the very fabric of them, again, lying like about what things are. I mean, we're seeing the redefining of basic concepts so it fits whatever narrative they promote. This is why, at the end of the day, these folks, they represent an outmoded system. Mainstream media here, this is why they have started tuning out. They tune out to the level, they're like, no more. And Melissa, thank you for the $10 there. And the dance there. I like that. It's cute. Thank you.
On for quite a long time. And actually, they are both, I wouldn't say equally, because I wasn't there, I don't know. No. But they both certainly contributed to the blame of the breakdown of this relationship with their behavior. And so I don't see two angels, but I'm not quite sure where the scales lie.
Man, if Piers ever gets, if Piers ever gets accused of something, oh man, I mean, when someone like when a Piers, if he ever, God forbid, I don't wish that on anybody, but the reality is anybody can have this happen to them at any time by anyone. When that happens, I'm sure he's not going to sing this song, is he? Yeah. Oh, well, equally. No, of course not. Mazza, thanks for 10. This is supposed to be a debate. I get why she's a moron. Why did they choose him to be JD's side when he knows nothing that's relevant? Well, I know why, but it's infuriating. Yeah, well, that's how this works, though, isn't it? I mean, at the end of the day, they don't actually want debate. They don't want an actual, they don't have those. When the mainstream media has reported it, it's just like any debate, social debates, political debates. You don't see two sides represented. You will sometimes see a very weak side presented that's soft with it, but you don't see two parties that will equally be able to debate one another. And in this, I mean, it's essentially weak side, weak side, weak side. It's nothing here. Oh, Lord.
Cases, one complete exoneration effectively for Depp, and the other one the opposite.
Yes, and that sounds very reasonable sitting here in the studio. But what's the message that's been sent to victims of abuse? The message that's been sent to victims of abuse, particularly women, is don't speak out if your man is rich and powerful.
Or if you're lying.
That's the message.
Or if you're lying.
Well,
She
in
didn't lie.
this country,
Well, Amber Heard,
she's not.
in
a
America,
liar.
Amber Heard, it was determined she lied, right? So this is where it gets more complicated.
She
You know, the
should
Hollywood-
like that, by the way, because on message, they were like, oh, well, your man, or if you're lying. Or if you're lying. At the end of the day, though, what she's trying to say is that an accused party shouldn't be able to defend themselves in a courtroom. At the end of the day, they're trying to make it sound like, and this goes to the heart of their argument, they're trying to sound like she had insurance companies, powerful corporations paying for her trial. She had millions of dollars that they spent. She did not out of pocket this trial. The only person that had to reach in their pocket for this trial was JD. I mean, he had to pay that. So at the end of the day, she defended herself. In fact, they went to great efforts. She had powerful institutions behind her. She had the ACLU, they helped her write up stuff. They had all of their lawyers on board. She had her own lawyers. They picked up the insurance policies. They provided her what they considered a very good defense. I don't think the defense was very good, but that's on their picks. That has nothing to do with her not being able to afford it. I mean, again, she didn't have to out of pocket this trial. It's such a false narrative at the end of it.
Hollywood star, Amber Heard, who plays the victim, tries to cash in on being a victim, writes op-ed pieces in serious newspapers, and does all that stuff, promoting herself, promoting her brand as
her mouth shut. Piers.
I'm not saying that.
Should she have kept her mouth shut?
I'm not saying that.
Should she not have voiced?
No, but Paula, your position. No, but your argument.
Paula's ignoring again. His argument at the beginning was lying. She used lies in order to further her soapbox, to further herself. She's like, well, she should have kept her mouth shut because victim. that at the end of the day, that's not there. That again is deflection. That is a dishonest argument.
That we
so
should.
It's right that she spoke out.
No, but she's entitled to.
Absolutely.
But then she's also, Johnny Depp is entitled to defend himself, and he did win the case in
Which
America.
he has done.
And my point is, I don't think she represents.
Taken a side.
I don't think she represents your average Joe victim in the street. So I think drawing that parallel to me is wrong.
Who is that average Joe? This is exactly the problem. We have a preconceived view of what an abuser looks like.
No. You're talking monetarily. The discussion was monetarily. Again, she's going to play the no perfect. Okay, well, JD is not the perfect victim. Okay. He has, what did they attack him for? What was the attack basis? They attacked him because he was a substance abuser. Now, of course, the other party in this relationship was a substance abuser. In fact, that's what they're attacking right here. So he was not the perfect victim. He also, by default, having money apparently makes you not the perfect victim. Having any type of status makes you not the perfect victim. It's astounding that in our society, we don't believe in equality when it comes to, again, I don't like some elitist standing on a soapbox preaching at me. I don't believe that we're equal then. But if somebody is abused in a relationship, it doesn't matter if they have a fat wallet or not. They are an abused party. At the end of the day, they take away they take away the very fabric of. They had all of these other elements. They had all these other qualifiers. It's you are a survivor unless, and then they had in all of these categories for unless, and it's unreal.
View means that we then challenge a person when they come forward, when they speak out. We say, no, you can't be the one who suffered because you look like this. No, you can't be the one who suffered
Why
because
should we?
you were wearing a short skirt.
Paula,
You can't be the one who
Paula,
suffered because you were drinking
Paula,
alcohol.
I don't want to.
You showcase the argument you wore a shirt skirt. Again, that doesn't apply because you drink alcohol. That doesn't apply. This is all whataboutism. And in society, we know better than that. But apparently we don't know better if the person that is abused is male, the person that is abused has power, money. We don't know better then. Interesting.
Interrupt you, but I'm going to interrupt you. To say this, I recently interviewed a young man who'd been part of this appalling case up north where a woman fantasist had assaulted herself and then blamed a bunch of innocent men. And this guy went to prison for several months and was facing 20 years in prison. But eventually she got exposed, right? I don't believe in always believing people.
But then you just made a whole case. 10 minutes of, hey, well, we listen to claims and we believe. So she's going to say, oh, absolutely. No. Your hashtag is believe all women. That is the listen and believe. That has been the basis of it. And they're going to make this argument for listen and investigate. But there's a flaw in that too. The flaw in that is when the accusation is there, what you're saying is that a person has to prove that they're innocent. And that's not how this is supposed to work. That can be a flaw again in situations like this. That can be a flaw, but that is not justice, treating someone as if they're guilty until you find another way. You can't, once those words are uttered, they're always attached to you. There'll always be doubt. And you're seeing it played out right here. You're seeing the perfect example of how that plays. And that, it's a sad thing. Fallen Hero, thank you for the gifted membership on that. Thank you. Appreciate that. Man, here we go. Absent Alice, what are you doing? How you doing, by the way? Good to see you. Thank you for the 10 gifted memberships, too. Appreciate you. Thank you. And also, Denise Clark, Custom Art. Thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Man, you all, like I said, it's amazing. I appreciate it. And again, we having a channel evaluation today. Somebody giving input. I'm gonna be like, hey, look, we have the best chat. We have real conversations about stuff. And, you have people that always try to manipulate, again, this social narrative, pretending that the conversation you have is ist or phobic or whatever. And at the end of the day, you're making commentary about something based on factual evidence. The truth is not any of those things. It's simply true.
Categorizing everyone who comes forward as a victim.
And
there's an automatic, you are clearly telling the
innocent.
truth. I believe in respecting people, in listening to them and examining the facts and see where that takes you, because otherwise you're going to get fantasists and people gaming the system.
If that was correct, Piers, if our society was built on that fairness, then we wouldn't have had Rochdale, we wouldn't have had Rochester, we wouldn't have had the low stats that we know exist in terms of reporting.
But when Amber Heard came out with what she said, she was believed. Johnny Depp's career went into a tailspin, And as far as he was concerned, he was an innocent, wronged man. And so he went to court to restore his reputation, which he has a right to do. And we know how it panned out. It panned out with a lot of cognitive dissonance because we're trying to work out how a British jurisdiction can say, yes, he is an abuser and a wife beater.
There's no cognitive dissonance in that. The only person confused here is apparently you, Nick. It's apparently you. And if you were actually honest about this, you have all the answers, man. It's easy to go out and it's easy to say that. But, it's funny. People want to play this idea that they are being respected and they're being respectful and fair, non-biased, and it leans into their bias. It absolutely does. These are the same folks, by the way, that like Wallis, before this, was covering cases on institutions and unfairness in institutions. Then you see a case of institutional unfairness that arises. Even the U.S. courts agreed that that was not justice. That's what your judge in the United States said, that that was not a fair trial. Because you didn't get to face your accuser. At the end of the day, that was an issue. You didn't truly get to face your accuser. And there are people out there, they'd love to say, oh, well, they got to cross-examine. They weren't allowed to dig in and truly question any of the narratives. So any narrative that was promoted, they were accepted at face value. Again, you weren't allowed to do what you did in the U.S. trial. The judge had to sign off on whether or not you could pursue any avenue of questioning. So if you wanted to go, you wanted to go deep on something, you wanted to actually push a topic, you wanted to challenge something, you had to get an okay for it. And many things were not okayed. That is not justice. Part of justice is facing your accuser.
And how the American public and an American jury can say, no, absolutely not. She was the liar in all of this, which is what the fascination about this story is. But when she came out saying...
That's actually not the fascination either. The fascination in this is how you can have an unequivocal win. You can have undeniable win, and still a year after this trial began, the trial began in April, so we're talking about 13 months afterwards, and you still have attack pieces like you had in 2018. In fact, I would say that the attacks, they are worse than they have ever been. They are worse. They can't tear down the career, but they certainly want to taint what transpired, because they're hoping that, again, whatever narrative that they promote, they're hoping that it'll stick.
I was abused by Johnny Depp. His only recourse is through the courts, because he couldn't do it any other way.
And otherwise, his entire career was gone. And his entire career could have gone, if you believe the American trial, because of a liar. So but it is complicated. I'm not saying for a moment he's blameless. I'm just saying that I don't.
And exactly that.
But I don't think she is a great standard bearer. For
it's not
victims
complicated.
of
I
domestic
agree.
violence, given that she herself was so violent.
Well,
that's where I'm sorry. I don't.
But also, why is it that the Cannes jury have decided to really push this film to put it in the prestigious opening slot? This is not okay.
What's the answer?
Johnny Depp's got a right to work, but let's hold our nose and get. Well, the answer is, look at the film industry. What's it interested in? Bums on seats and money.
Yeah.
It's not there to make any more.
The fact that Roman Polanski still gets standing ovation.
Again, Roman Polanski, we go back to that in our closing statements, right? Yeah. No, I think, again, institutions realized just how badly they screwed up. They know public pressure. Like, again, Twitter noise that some rag is bringing up. One of these mainstream, right? That's not actually taking in how the public feels about something. You want to feel for, they love to talk about things like my channel. I do if I'm on these days, I do around let's just say an average of video a day, right? They put out how many articles each day? When you look at their traffic, they're a relic compared to channels. They are. That's why they're so bitter and they're so mad, because people don't trust them anymore. Because at the end of it, again, everything, like if we, like today, talk about Hollywood canceling Team AH. All right. Well, how did they do that? You had a Hollywood star stand up and say, no, this lie, this thing that you're trying to get, this PR that you guys are pushing, they're trying to get L'Oreal ambassadorship back. It's all a lie. It's fake. That cancels that whole thing right there. That's truth. It again, it doesn't just quote some nameless thing. It shows you people over time. They've been PR. They've definitely been working for these folks, and it's just like I said, it's unreal. It's unreal. You just have people sit on their little soapboxes and pretend they have some insight that you and I do not. It's so annoying too. M4A now. Thanks for the 5. Tug, I came for the misogyny and bigotry. Why have you changed? Joke. Show watcher, just hard truth, reason, and lots of folders in the Tug world. Indeed. Well, I remember, from go, it's been like that. When I started my channel, talking about comic book numbers. And in comic, I would show, like, IDW was my favorite comic book company to cover, because you could cover the truth behind their numbers. And what they were doing was damaging. When you denigrate people, you put out bad products, you lose support, and you could show it through hard numbers. Well, the answer from that industry was, you're a sexist. You're a monster, and somehow you're Yahtzee, because of this, that, or the other. And it's like, and that never changes. That answer never changes. It continues. That has become the deflection. That is current year deflection. People just calling you names, because at the end of the day, they hope that they can erase your voice if they call you bad things. They do that to people. What's amazing is they do that to people. Like Eric July is a perfect example. Eric July goes out. He makes bank promoting his own products, right? He is a successful business owner. He's also a black man. You would think that they would love him, right? No, but he has the wrong narrative. So of course he's an internalized racist. He's all of these terrible things. And it's like, what in the world? They call him, they say and they call him the worst things in the world. That's also the go-to that we see. It goes across all of these things, just like they call women, internalized misogynist. They call him the most racist things ever. Just like they call women that don't walk lockstep with Amber Heard. They call them the nastiest things ever. Like they'll go from anything from a pick me. Oh, you're a pick me girl. That's one of their favorites these days. To just overtly nasty stuff. It's so gross. What's up, Rhett? Thanks for the 2. I think we can see another 3 potatoes on screen. Indeed. Does the mainstream media, do they count as separate potatoes, or are they all one potato? That's what I'm curious about.
And the first one was led at the Oscars in absentia after he absconded from America to avoid justice for raping an underage girl. And that's what he did. I mean, the facts aren't contested. And he escaped justice, and escaped justice for 50 years. He is still lauded around the world, including in Hollywood, as some kind of hero. I mean, it is a morally bankrupt industry when it comes to these kind of things. Anyway, this is a morally unbankrupt book. Depp v. Heard, The Unreal Story by Nick Wallis. Fascinating read.
This makes me really wish somebody would put out a true book. Like what bothers me with that aspect. Like, I would say, man, we need to get together and put together the book. But I don't want to ever, I don't. I run a channel. My channel obviously makes it's a for-profit channel. It makes money, but I do not want to put out a Depp v. Heard book and market off that. It just seems wrong, gross to me. But I would love somebody like Adam Waldman, maybe. somebody around the JD camp. They could put out their side, because then it would be. I mean, I guess, or they could give blessing on a book. I guess that would be okay too. And they would actually. Here's the thing. They always try to promote this idea, like somehow, again, these mainstream crazies, they went after supporters, and JD was like, nah. And I don't think he would have a problem with that. In fact, I'm sure that people get a blessing for doing something like that. I'm sure, of course, it wouldn't be like, again, you wouldn't be quoting a person or anything, but I'm sure it'd be okay with that. But still, I don't know. It just wouldn't feel good for me. I wish somebody else would do that, though, to take it. And again, factually analyze. I mean, there are some people, like, there's some really good minds on this. People like, again, like Jax and Laura B. Like, they're great at remembering the minutia. Like Laura B. Like, one thing I love about Laura B. is the fact that she remembers every single detail about a dog. Like, I'll forget again, my mind gets cluttered with a lot of stuff, and my mind, it works in a certain way, but I forget the minutia on something. But like a Laura B, she remembers everything there. She and Jax, when they did a show together, when they talked about the trial, like the road to, one second, I gotta get a cord. When they talked about the road to the trial, I mean, it was amazing, because they would remember. And you could see Laura B, when she covers the insurance stuff. I mean, again, she remembers every single piece of minutia, and that's good. Like, I would like somebody like that to be able to factually represent arguments in documentation. I mean, there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of people. Nick Wallis is saying, well, I'm the best read, or one of the best read. That's what Piers Morgan, and that's not true. That's not true. Some of the best read. I can't tell you how much documentation I've gone through. And I can't tell you, like some of the sources, they've gone through even more, and again, they remember every detail. But anyway, well, let's finish this little
Extraordinary story. I know people who know Johnny Depp who absolutely love him. I know people who know Johnny Depp and say, yeah, it doesn't surprise me. I know the same with Amber Heard. I have no idea.
It's Amber who's had to run away and hide beneath the stone in Madrid somewhere, not Johnny.
She's hiding behind the stone.
On a red carpet.
All right.
She's hiding under a stone. Again, why are you hiding? Because of your commentary. You tried to burn someone's life down and it failed. And again, okay, so I was mentioning the commentary on this. Let me pull the comments up. I wanted to make sure that this screened correctly. The commentary is overwhelmingly about, again, if you watch the trial, think she's telling the truth, you must be blind. I like this statement here. The only thing worse than lynching a person until he's proven guilty is lynching a person after he's proven innocent. I think that's a very good statement. But if you go through, I mean, it's, again, I'm trying to find some AH positive commentary, and it doesn't exist. It's not there. It's unreal. It's unreal, the perception that they're trying to sculpt versus, again, the way that people actually respond to all of this. I mean, it just keeps going on, it just keeps going on. People are like, yeah, and comments like this are true too. Johnny is allowed to be on the red carpet only because he won month-long public trial. All it took for Johnny is all its acting jobs from big franchises like Fantastic Beasts and Pirates was for Amber to shout that he was an abuser. Well, and his career went down in flames. That's all it took. That is all it took. Again, like this, it's overwhelmingly support. It's the same way the trial worked. Oh man. We'll never get past. At the end of the day, I don't think we're ever going to get past them doing this. And my issue isn't the spin to it. My issue at the end of the day is the fact that the promotion to that is just it's trying to rewrite a trial. Like we saw it, and it's arguing with what you saw with your own eyes. Like that to me, that is probably the most insulting aspect of everything here. Is again, you and I, we watched this thing with our own eyes. And yet, give me 1 minute. I want to pull up something here. Let me mention something real quick too. I do want to mention this project that's going on because I like Clownfish TV. Clownfish TV has a book. Clownfish TV, they run a channel, good people. They have a project. They have a second book, I believe. But it's got 2 days left. I think it's pinned at the top of the chat. I think you have fun with it. I think that this is it looks like a funny it just looks like a fun book. It looks like a funny book. Yeah. It covers just some of the, if you're a fan of their work, I think a lot of people would enjoy this. So again, if this is something that interests you, you should definitely check that out. I will definitely myself be backing that. I like Clownfish TV. I think they're good people. I've got a statement. So we finally figured out I haven't put a statement out on our book yet because it's been late. Again, health issues slowed things down, but we've figured out, we figure there will be, we've got everything pretty much squared away, but we still have some stuff we're working on. Like I said, it's got to be perfect. I'm going to show some samples of what we've been doing and everything to make people understand that, but Clownfish TV, again, they've done good work. I always like them too. Again, when these people were trying to cancel myself, they were trying to cancel many of you out there as well. Nobody stood with that, but the people who stood against that, I do appreciate what they did with it. The rap, though, I mean, okay, so I want to show you one other thing before we end tonight, okay? If you search articles that are coming up right now, it's kind of loony. Let me pull up Google, okay? Pull up a Google search. I have Brave search. They don't do a good job for searching. That's one thing. You don't get a lot of of articles coming out with that. John, thanks for the 5. Geeky Sparkles is hilarious. She gets on an anti-Disney rant. Love Clownfish. I mean, both of them. Like I said, they have been. They're actually. They're a lot less like for me, when I rant about, I don't forget slights from companies. Like I don't forget, like when Warner called us all bots and they treated us like garbage. I don't forget that kind of stuff. I don't feel good about that. But you do need people that can go out and truly give you a non-biased opinion on how a product is. And I think they do a good job with that kind of stuff too. So I love that they can do that. See, all right. So for Google, now when you look at how Google has been, or rather not Google, but mainstream media has been talking about JD's appearances. I mean, it's kind of unreal. Again, like The Guardian, of course, The Guardian there. But JD's returned at Cannes exposes the French split over Me Too. It's just like, what? I mean, when you look, again, there's plenty of positive things that come up. But you have these, like, again, teeth. That's been their attack on it. Teeth. There are multiple arguments. You know, again, this is an actual article from page 6, all right, to show you. AH looks relaxed and happy in Madrid as JD faces teeth criticism. What? 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 This is what passes as journalism now? Are you freaking kidding me, man? I swear. That's where we are. And the quote unquote teeth criticism, too. I mean, they quoted people that are supposed to be fans of JD. They were like, oh, you know, it's also insulting to people. There are one of the major issues, at least in the United States, I know for sure, but all of the world, you know, you have plenty of people with problems with their teeth. Dental costs are unreal. Like I had to have a crown, and a crown. All right, for a root canal and a crown. All right, a root canal costs somewhere between $400 and $600. A crown costs somewhere between $400 and $600. So you're talking, and maybe higher depending on your dentist. Like in this area, that's $8 to. I mean, really, you're talking $800 to $1,200 for that one thing. Many people cannot reach in their pockets and afford that. They cannot afford. When we're talking people living paycheck to paycheck, people barely being able to afford food, they can't afford that. Now with JD, again, they're like, oh, money, you know, he's got money, this, that, and the other. Again, if this is your attack on the guy, that's what it's become, then you have nothing to talk about anymore. Like there is no discussion going on anymore. It's not. I thought it was supposed to be about. I thought it was supposed to be a discussion about Me Too and all of this other stuff, but really, it's not, is it? It's just another way to dump on this guy because he's become a target that is socially acceptable. Like when you get a socially acceptable target out there, then like I said, I've never seen anything like it either. Because you know, in the past, like an abuser. Abusers are usually not, you know, they're not embraced like that. So let's see. I'm going to mashed potato goblin. Thanks for there were actually 2 buck ones there. Burgers, Big Macs, baby, Big Macs. I love it. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Angela, thanks for the 2. Hi, Umbrella Guy. I'm Umbrella Girl. Hey, how are you doing? I appreciate that. Thank you. Let's see. I'm trying to make sure, like I said, I don't want to miss anybody here. Yeah, Kate asked to, you know, with the stats that they threw out. You had Kate and Nancy. They were both asking, you know, again, what are the statistics on men? You know, how many men actually die from DV? What goes on with that? And that's actually a good point. Like I said, it's a very good point that people are bringing up because the whataboutism that they played. They pretend, you know, whoops, there's not any truth or any relationship with what goes on. And again, no person that is abused deserves that. No one. Claire, thanks for the 2. I could understand it. I could understand if it said it wasn't worth it. Talking about the worth it. Yeah, indeed. Red, thanks for the 2. AH Sim should be called Tater Tots. Tater Tots. That's funny. Let's see. I'm just like, again, I'm picking through, just checking a few. And I apologize if I miss somebody in any of these. That is definitely not me trying to miss anybody. I do hope people understand that. You know, I'm getting back to the flow of things, and it's taken me a hot minute. Give me 1 minute. Oh, Helen, thank you for the 50 there. Appreciate that. Yay for the clownfish shout out. Yeah, you know, I hope people understand too. I keep to myself a lot when I like for live streaming or whatever. You know, I go on Flashcast because Flash and I are friends. I've known him since I started. I've had a lot, like my YouTube channel will tell you I've been around since 2012, but no, my YouTube channel was a parking lot, basically. I would put things here that I would want to keep up with, or I used to do videos of products sometimes for Amazon, and I found they were used for scams on Amazon, on YouTube. Sometimes there would be scammers there. So in order to ensure that that wouldn't happen, I put my video here on YouTube too, so I could, again, if some place were trying to link you to something, I could make sure that my video was not used in that way. But again, it wasn't actually a channel there. 2017, that's when I started actually YouTubing, and there are a lot of good people that I've run across, a lot of people that are in this fight. I have friends. I've known, like I said, I've known Yellow Flash since I started. In fact, I remember when Yellow Flash, that YouTube changed its rules on how, like, on how channels are looked at, for amount of subscribers and stuff. And we're talking about, getting 1,000 subscribers. And I remember, like, that's how early on, that. So that's somebody I've known for a long time. But I don't typically go on a lot of shows or anything. But that I do. Just because I don't, that's just more of a reflection of my personality. But I do like a lot of people out there, and some people, some people think that's a reflection on liking or disliking. No. Having said that, I will be going on with Camelot next week. We'll be going on. I've been looking forward to that for a while. I like Camelot. He's funny. He's it's funny. People people get offended sometimes with Camelot or Rickade. I find them funny. I love them, man. I think Camelot is a good dude. Like, at the end of the day, Camelot is somebody. When I was having all of my health stuff, like, Camelot was one of the people, like, every day was like, "Yo, dude, what's going on? You okay?" Like, just checking in, and it's nice. It's nice to have friends like that. Dreadnought, thanks for the 10. You can get away with anything as long as you conform to the right speaking points. That is very true. If you oppose them, you'll be vilified for smelling flowers or eating mashed potatoes. Indeed, that is actually true too. That is perfectly illustrated as a point in this day and age. We have people, again, they're embraced because, like, look at the points of of Amber Heard. Look at how she's embraced, because, again, there's certain buzzwords. You can have misogyny is a big buzzword there. Or, again, like we talked about, I don't like using the word, but they certainly do. Feminism, they love to bring it up. They like to weaponize these terms, and they use them in such a negative way. If you look at how I saw Depp, for example, being used because it'll get traction. I saw him being brought up along with the Trump trial, and I thought that's kind of interesting. Again, that's not a commentary on the Trump trial. I saw the decision. I did not watch that trial. I like to see what goes on with a trial before I I like to be informed on how something arrives, especially if it's political. Because I hate politicians. I hate them all. And I very much, I hate what goes on with that. So I tune that whole thing out. I tune that, I just never pay attention to those. But I know, like, with Depp, one of the controversies, he made a statement on Trump at one time, a long time ago. And that plagued him for a while. And it's fascinating to see now that he was right down with the same people that are trying to burn him down. They were in that same group of, they were all in that same collective of opposing one person. But if you have something that deviates from that, if you have, him again, because he was a male survivor and he went against a narrative there, a narrative of believe all and more. Now he's going to be thrown in the same light with that. It's just, it's fascinating to watch. It's horrifying to watch. But it shows you the hypocrisy to it. It also shows you why I don't like belonging to any kind of group like that or affiliation, because at the end of the day, I just tell you I don't like any of them. And I think that works for me. But I did find it fascinating. Again, it's just like any other thing that will gain traction. Like if you look at some of the if you look at Twitter especially, that's how people they'll buzzword in every ist, every phobe. They'll throw in misogyny. Again, they'll throw in any kind of name recognition. It's unreal. It's unreal. It sounds loony, and yet it works. It very much works. They're all involved in 1MDB. There's a lot of them involved in 1MDB, actually. That is very much true. Mashed potato goblin, thanks for the additional Big Mac. I'm filling up on Big Mac. Wolfgang, thanks for the two there. There were a couple of member milestones. Yeah, they unfortunately, I apologize. When I missed the member milestones, when people put them up there, this is actually going to be so. Like I said, I have a YouTube partner now, which is good. That means I get to give feedback on some of this stuff with YouTube. I don't know what that means in the overall perspective, but I would like to bring up the idea that, with member milestones. So if you make a comment as a member, I'd like to be able to go back and review all of those. And there is no feature that allows me, that I know of, to go back and to review those. Maybe I don't know about a feature. Maybe it does exist and I've never found it. But if I miss yours, what that means is, as a member, you can, if you look at your comments, you can actually give a comment as a member. If I miss those, like I said, I apologize. There's no way to, if I don't catch them in the moment, like I'm talking about something and I don't catch them in that moment, then they're banished to the ether. And I'm not sure how to retrieve them. Maybe 1 minute here. Dreadnought, thanks for Big Mac as well. Laura B, thanks for some salt to throw on that. I'm throwing that salt all around, though. I love watching AH simps go after each other. Actually, what's really fascinating? So apparently they all really dislike Eve Barlow. Like I didn't realize how disliked Eve Barlow was in those camps until I started watching some of the PR promotion and stuff. I mean, some of these accounts, they get along somewhat, but man, I mean, you're talking about somebody they do not like at all. It's because socially, here's the issue, and this is the thing that I try to caution people against. And you do see people pull this in all walks of life. If you truly want to make change, see, you see this. One of the things the support with a JD actually managed to overcome were things like political divides. You have people from every affiliation, every walk of life. Some people that maybe will not ever agree on another thing that ever comes up, but people manage to set those aside. And they managed to communicate. And I actually think that's had some long-lasting good items too. Because, I mean, there are people, and you're allowed to do this, people that disagree with me on all kinds of things. And that's fine. You should be allowed to disagree. At the end of the day, we should still be able to communicate. We should still be able to live and let live. And I think that really helped with this. And one of the things for that, though, are that others, I mean, they eat each other alive if anybody doesn't walk lockstep. Hey, Cat, thanks for those 8 months. Well, you have the best channel, Tug, and I'm happy to have found you. Thank you for that. I do appreciate that. I do appreciate that. I'm glad, I like... channels are reflections of, you have a reflection of a person. Some people just like chase a algorithm. I do try to get the algorithm so I can get a get a video out or whatever. But I'm just talking about what I want to talk about. I've talked about this trial for a long time because it furthers our discussion of all of these social wrongs. There's so many things. I mean, this is a beautiful example of so many social maladies. They come up in here. It's astounding. And it's also astounding to see, like when you say mainstream media is a relic, you usually don't have any way of promoting that or any way of saying, hey, that's true. Well, you can prove it here. You can absolutely prove it now. Hey, Cynthia, thank you for the 5 months there and the Big Macs as well. Thank you. I defended Johnny Depp even before the trials, before others ride the wave and pretend they care about the whole thing. Well, I think one of the things, there are people, there will be people that'll casually comment on something. There are people that cover that. Again, I remember when I first saw this stuff, Yellow Flash, Yellow Flash knows how I like a case. I would like to find one thing that I want to look at. And he was like, drop whatever. Again, it was cry like, drop whatever dumb shit you're doing and look at this, look at this thing. And it pointed out that trial. And I started looking. And again, I ran over sites like I always forget to shout them out, like IFOD. They were one of the first places to actually house documents in this case. So you could go and look at, what were the claims that were being made. You could look at the pictures that were there. I mean, you would have nobody's narrative on it. You also, Incredibly Average, one of the first places that I saw presentations of items that made me want to look further. A lot of people, when I look at a video, I don't take the video as truth, but I take what they say and I match it up with documentation. See that? And one of the things that Incredibly Average did very well is to match that up with documentation. So when you go out and you make your informed opinion, you can see what people are talking about. And again, that rabbit hole is deep. And there were a lot of people out there. A lot of people, you're going to come in at a certain time, like Marilyn Manson. I don't feel that I'm very informed on that. There are other people that keep me informed on that to a degree. And I'm not going to be one of the people like right there on the ground. The Danny Masterson trial. I look at portions of that. I actually read some of the trial. I won't call them transcripts, but you do have some people that transcribe a lot of the testimony. So I keep up with a bunch of that, but I don't feel like I'm a good source on that either. Now there are people that they like, again, the Piers Morgans. I believe that Piers Morgan, they're not informed at all on the trial. They are the looky-loos. They didn't want to talk about that trial before everything was coming up. There was a media blackout on it, as it were. They did, and that they did not inform themselves on any of the documentation that was present. In fact, many of them informed themselves from snippets that are presented on places like Twitter. And the problem with Twitter presentations, you'll see this with the AH, they'll black out. They'll take a page and black out part of the middle or something. So you'll focus on 2 paragraphs, but you won't get the middle paragraph that actually it gives you the point of something. So it presents a false narrative. People should read that for themselves. And unfortunately, my biggest criticism is, again, media. If they're going to pretend to be knowledgeable on the subject, then be knowledgeable on the subject. Accusations without any proof, any substantiation, it's not evidence. When you have somebody that you can prove lied, continually, then if they present anything in pictures or something, you have to wonder about everything. You have to be skeptical of that because, I mean, how many times does a person have to lie about something like that? Again, like I said, we're not talking about some little lie out here, some embellishment. We're talking about overtly lying and trying to burn down another person's life. At what point do you say, And I think that point, it should have been passed a long time ago. Fallen Hero, thank you for the 3. Bye. I'll see you later. Have a good one, by the way. And Nikki, we talked long before JD trials. I was doing Vic Mignogna. Yeah, and Vic Mignogna was probably my first. I firmly believe that Vic Mignogna is innocent. I firmly believe that. I feel that I educated myself on that very well. When I looked at that trial, I also here's something too. Like, I have a huge bias against Hollywood. I don't like the institution, and by default, I don't really want to like actors. So when I look at a case for a JD, it took more for me to be convinced. Because I have to overcome that, and it's something you ride with. You want to be unbiased, but I mean, just in reality, you want to think, man, there's got to be something, right? And the reality is that when you got down to it, there was something, all right. The something was someone was falsely accused, and again, that whole not a perfect victim. I mean, you see how that plays out. It's been an interesting ride for them. Wolf Connor, thanks for the 5 there. Tug's Taters or Tug's Taters. I like that too. I feel like I have some of those taters that hang on my channel. They're always watching because they're always commenting on that stuff, and I'm like, I love it. You know why I think those are hilarious? Like the haters, especially because they make you relevant too. They're like, that guy's a monster. Go look at the monster. Like, thanks for the views. I appreciate that. Thanks, Turds Taters. Good to have you breaking things down for us again. Look for emails about JD's potato comment. Indeed, I'll check that out. Dreadnought, thanks for the 5. What people don't understand is when they support the mob, it will eventually come for them. Yes, these crazies are great at cannibalizing each other. That's actually all they do most of the time. It is a cannibal. It's if they can't find someone else to destroy, they will turn in eternally and they'll destroy each other. They're always. I saw this fascinating thing happen in comics. Okay, I saw a bunch of people that buzzword together, and they would try to out buzzword each other. So I saw this group of comic artists from Portland. They had a shared group, and I saw the DMs that came out of it. Somebody ended up leaking them, and it was fascinating because they would do things like they'd have an argument, and in the argument they would turn to this type of cannibalizing each other. One of them would be like, well, as a woman, and then another one would be like, well, oh, you know what, as a POC woman, you racist. And then another one would be like, oh yeah, well, it's a disabled POC dragonkin woman, you bigot sexist. And it was hilarious to see because it was this cannibalizing of each other as they tried to out buzzword each other. It was just amazing. There was no truth in what they were doing. It was just about eating one another. And then they found the person that couldn't buzzword the best, and they were the bad guy, and they would destroy that person, and they would take whatever happened in that, and ultimately they would start destroying each other in public too. It was amazing stuff to watch. Mashed Potato Goblin, thanks for another Big Mac. Thank you there. It was just funny to watch. Like I said, I've seen that happen in so many of these mob situations. One of the things that you see too, you'll see people that will support this believe all stance, right? They're firm firm believers, and then they get accused of something, and suddenly that's a problem. Suddenly, you need to look at the evidence. It's amazing how fast these type of things change as well. Anyway, I think we've had a good live stream tonight. I think it's been a lot of fun. I enjoyed hanging out today. Tomorrow we'll see what's going on. I'm not sure, but like I said, I've been having fun just live stream. We may do a goof off live stream one of the 2 days. Like I said, I'm not sure yet, but I'd like to do another. I like the live streams where we just like, I don't know, go outside, talk about some stuff. Nothing that's really serious. I mean, we talk about just like we're doing right here in a lot of ways. We're just talking. I kind of like that. It's free form thought. It's looking at what you guys and again, I find out about things that are going on all over through these discussions too. But anyway, all right. Well, I'm going to end here. I think it's been a fun live stream. Yeah, I will see what happens tomorrow. All right. Thank you, folks. Appreciate you.